the concert kicks off at 6 p.m. sharp. Tickets are just $30 prepaid or $35 at the door. Don't miss out on this uplifting evening of music. Praise delicious foods will also be on sale. For more information, call 917-755-5481 or 678-525-9397. Come experience the power of praise at the Sounds of Praise concert, October the 12th. I will see you there.
Absolutely. Give thanks. Give thanks.
So welcome again to the show. We're doing a pre-recording right now. We just wrapped up a live session, and the purpose of doing this particular session is because it was so powerful. The vibes are so high up in here that I wanted to make sure that we captured this opportunity to continue to flow. Source, my brother, he lives outside the country actually, and he's here for a couple of weeks, and I felt like this was a golden opportunity for us to be able to have his presence live in the studio. And it's extremely important for us to recognize that when given the proper environment and tools, that the body can heal itself. But it's never just about the physical, it's about energetically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually what's going on. And we were talking about parenting and motherhood, and there were some things that were said at the end. I'm like, I wish we could continue to elaborate. And Source, thank you for being generous with your time to say, let's just go ahead and do, part 3 of this series right now. And so some of the things that came up for me were when you were talking about male children can be drained by the mother's energy sometimes. Sometimes, I hope not all the time. And that there is an opportunity for us to look at parenting differently. One, not looking at it as a hierarchy or that we're the authority, we're the know-it-all, that this is an exchange, that our children, they have to be clear about their identity, not skipping over the foundational principles and values that we should be teaching them, not having them think, even though we want them to thrive in the world, whether it's academically or socially, there's some basic things that children should know: who they are, how to take care of themselves, how to maintain health and longevity. And so a part of health and longevity is making sure that they're prepared for the world. So the conversation was about, mom can be over nurturing. It's in the nature of a woman to nurture more than not. And what do you do when you have male children in the household? And, they're coming to you for advice. And even when it's a husband, wife, or a partnership between a man and a woman, sometimes men, they just need to it's important for men to seek counsel from other men. And I thought it was important to say healthy men who have proof in their life that is working. But I'm sure we know that part, but I think that that's important. And so when we ended part 2, my conversation was that I do that with my sons. When they have certain challenges, I will give them my perspective, but I tell them, who are the men in your life that you can call on? And I always allow them to give me a list, and I even make suggestions, but I prefer for it to be who they think, because I can suggest all I want, but they know energetically what dynamics happen when they have a man-to-man exchange in a conversation. And so I, encourage them to talk to different men and get their perspective and get their advice before moving on. So I was glad that you said that, because, parenting, there's no handbook to this. And oftentimes, those are my thoughts when I lay down at night, like the mistakes that I make, how I can correct them. So that's something that I think is important for us to talk about. And so when we weren't recording, I was asking you, well, how can we talk about what is a challenge? Because I don't really like to say problems, but what can be a problem or a challenge in our community? And what can we actually offer for a solution? And that was one of them. And you said, you know what? Even if it's not the dad, a stern uncle who's going to, do the opposite of what you would do and kind of push them ahead. And you gave an example of that with LeBron James. So can you elaborate a little bit and just go into a little bit more detail about the single parent household dynamics and how women as mothers can be more supportive of helping their sons grow up into the type of men that they would want to see in the world?
Okay. So, first of all, just to elaborate on what you said, as far as that's more of an opinion when you said about your sons, about healthy men. A lot of times, if we're left alone and we're just guided, and then let the run on the stream, and then guide it when we get off track. It's kind of like a male dog. You know, I don't mean to use it like that, but it is. You let them run, you give them some virtues, give them some values, and then you have to test it out to see if it works. You can't keep them in this contained illusion of protection and, oh, I gotta save you from society and all young men getting shot. BS. You gotta let them run. You know what I mean? Because how you gonna protect this family? It's still the same society. It's probably gonna get worse by the time they get older. So you have to give them values and let them run. They get off track, you bump them over and let them run again. I mean to say that in a sense that we learn best from observation because we create our own tribes. We're creators. So we create. So you might think something is, oh, you shouldn't learn from that. But I might be sitting around it and picking up all the things I need to know. I had the values to know when right or wrong. But I'm picking up all the other things, even if it's from a drug dealer. I could be picking up certain other values. Maybe not what he's doing, the allude, but I'm picking up other manly traits because just because of his occupation, what he do, that don't mean he have other traits that I can't learn from as a man. You know, so
that's a good point.
So I've learned, because I've learned on my journey, one of the most important things I learned was when I learned from homeless people. And usually that wouldn't be the status quo picture of who you learn from. But I know this because I had my dad that's a doctor, but I knew he's sick. He has a medicine bag this big. So it's kind of like, why would I listen to you about my health just because you got the plaques on the wall? Your medicine bag getting bigger and bigger, and you taking the all. That ain't what I want to do. So I don't want to go that route. I don't care what your status and your quota is in my life. You know what I mean? So I went and I learned because I know I used to get around the homeless people first because they would take my herbs and when nobody else believed in me, and I saw that it was working on them. But secondly, I sat back and observed, and I noticed that they never get sick. They might get drunk, they might get other stuff, but a lot of times you don't see a lot of homeless people getting sick, and a lot of them don't have a lot of aches and pains and limps. They all dealing with their own demons. They might have drug issues, they might have. But I started noticing, like, why is everybody in society with all the houses and pretty stuff, all of them got sniffles, all of them sick.
They're in the house all the time?
The homeless people, and it hit me. They're sleeping outside with the fresh air, and secondly, they're sleeping on the ground. They're grounded. So no matter what they do, it's coming out of them every day into the earth and recycling.
Yes.
So they might get drunk. You might see them drunk. But they regenerate the next day, and they sleep on the ground. So we're not so smart as we think we are. You know what I mean? The animals sleep on the ground. They regenerate. And we the only ones that... So I recognize the ignorance of societal status is actually making us sicker as well. And I learned it from the most odd places. Okay. And then I got advice from them too. It's certain they weren't always homeless. So that's also another thing when you get on your journey. You don't know who you... That's why, I have such a big issue with... Like, I had to just start learning how to dress, because I was more bush, and if it feels up to me, I run around butt naked, because I know the sun healing me, you know what I mean? Yes. But I had to, just to appease to the people, but in no way, shape, or form am I backwards like most people where I think the clothes first, it's internal first, because when I look like when I had so much jaundice in my eyes from being so sick to look like I was about to urinate, tears, you know what I mean? Clothes, shoes, none of that stuff matters. But we run around this illusion and we put our energy first. You gotta be matching. You gotta be this. And then you gotta put on your shoes. Your shoes are one thing killing you. All the energy stuck in you. So all the things we value is half the stuff we have to get rid of in our mind. You have to be okay with being different in order to heal. The clothes, some of the clothes, the polyesters and the different, if it's not cotton and stuff, it's blocking the energy from interacting with your body.
That's
it's
true.
also making you sick. So, I noticed that. So, just to piggyback on how observation is more powerful than anything you can teach anybody, anything I can teach anybody. If I don't teach my child nothing, the human brain is still going to learn. It's going to sit back and observe. It's going to sit and look at that flower. It's going to come back the next day, see, okay, that flower has this on it. Oh, what day? Oh, it's this day called March. Okay. It's going to look. Observation. You can't be manipulated by observation. You know what I mean? So the most powerful thing is observation. You know, not books and everything else. But so that's how I got to this. So I'm just saying that on when you said about certain men, you don't know how we're going to process.
Yes.
I process stuff
You're right.
from all kind of different. I pick and
You're
choose.
absolutely
Even,
right.
even with my information that I learn now, I don't read the whole article. I pick out what I want to pick out because some of it is fear, some of it is this. I pick out exactly what I need, and the rest I know. Okay, that's not along what I. Okay, boom. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
so no, everything does not look like. You know, if you look at me, you know, tattered up, you think, oh man, this man might finna rob me or something. Or this man might, he's a thug. If you thinking like that, but you have no idea.
be
So
healed.
looks can be
Yes.
screened, and what looks good is usually not good. It's probably matrixized. It's matrix. So
Yes.
so you know, that's why it's not. That's why it's good to
true.
let the energies learn how they learn, because one of your sons can learn one way, and the other one might be able to have to learn a whole nother way. So, and sometimes we try to force them in our way of how we learn, then we get frustrated when they don't learn like that. Well, they weren't brought, this energy and soul wasn't brought in the world to learn the same. You know, it might pick up, you might be able to learn from him of how he learned. But, like I said, if we on our high horses in this hierarchy, then we miss that. We miss everything. You know, so, yeah, so that's, you know, but yeah, so what was the,
Wow.
what was the question?
Well, I do want to acknowledge the conversation is about, you know, allowing our male children to be raised in a certain way and supported in a certain way to, you know, be stronger in their masculinity without being overpowered by a lot of divine feminine energy. But I do have to acknowledge something as you were talking. You know, one of the things that I teach my sons is that you can learn from anyone. You know, and I always tell them, I don't care if it's the president or the prime minister and there's a homeless person. You show love and respect for that homeless person just as much as you would for that president or prime minister, because even a homeless person can teach you something. If a person has mental health challenges, or people call them crazy, you know, I've seen it even with people that have dementia and Alzheimer's. When I'm around them and they come in and out and they drop wisdom or they respond to me in a certain way. So I do know that, but in that over nurturing role as a mother, I'm like the right people. But they can. I have a young brother in my community, and he talks about years ago how the streets were different. That the drug dealers, they didn't try to recruit the young brothers to sell drugs. Definitely didn't want them on drugs. They wanted to know, what kind of grades were you getting in school? Show me your report card. And he talks about there being honor, not just among thieves, but honor in the streets. That there was a certain code, that you didn't mess with children, that you encouraged them, hey, you don't need to do what I'm doing. You need to go to school and get your education and think big beyond the community. And plenty people who may have had nefarious or unsavory ways to make money have supported a lot of people and pushed them on legitimate paths in their life. So I do want to acknowledge that, because it's important for us to be open to different perspectives, because sometimes, I mentioned this before, we are constantly being programmed, and deprogramming happens a lot of times we're in these conversations, because the same thing that I teach my sons right here on the air, I was like, oh, well, the right men. But you can even learn how not to be by showing up in the room with a person, or the person who went down a different path and stereotyping people based on how they look, based on what they wear, those type of things. People have the wisdom and the life experience to be able to say, hey, this is what I did, and based on my experience, I can show you this. So who am I to say who's the healthiest man, you know, as long as they're not dealing with nobody who would do anything to abuse them or be inappropriate, that would be my requirement. So it also makes me look at the ways that I can push my opinion and perspective of who they should be listening to, because you can learn from anyone or anything. So I do think that that's important to acknowledge. I also wanted to acknowledge that homeless people are looked at as invisible oftentimes, and I've had interactions with homeless people where it was heartfelt. Even if I didn't have anything to give, it was the eye contact, the touching of my heart, the nodding of my head, acknowledging them as human beings. And I've even had a homeless brother tell me one time outside the supermarket, because I didn't have any cash, and I was like, if I had it, brother, I would give it. And he said to me, thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for seeing me, and thank you for speaking to me. And then that's when I received a revelation that, a lot of people, they turn a blind eye, and they treat homeless people like Ralph Ellison, that book, The Invisible Man. And I often think, and a friend of mine, we were speaking about this years ago, if there was like an apocalypse and the end of the world kind of thing, we have all these people out here who are into survivalist training and things like that, and I know that's important. But it would be the homeless people who would be able to survive if the electricity shut down and everybody had to live off the grid. It would be the homeless people, in my opinion, that we would be able to look to actually be able to show people how to adapt and to cope to something different if we were taken out of our comfort zone. So there's a lot that you can learn from people in general, and I don't think that we should look, like, God is not a respecter of persons in that way. The Creator doesn't look at, the thief, or the priest in a different way. It's, our heart, knowing your heart and knowing that everyone has value. Even the least, they say the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So I do want to acknowledge that, and it's an opportunity for me to check myself, because it's very important for us to be able to have self-awareness and, to self-evaluate, to be able to check ourselves and say, you know what, I actually preempted that, but it is not the reality that will probably work. That anyone who's willing to pour into us in a way, that we shouldn't look at their station in life, and we shouldn't look at, what they look like on paper could be a lot different than what their heart and spirit represents.
Yeah. So, so a lot of times, like you just mentioned, the paper is what's getting us sick. What's your stresses in life? Your
Bills.
There you go. what you think making you sick?
Trying to get that money to take care of everything. And
All-
it's
all-
a survival mode energy, which is not where I want to be. I want to be thriving and not just surviving.
Well, you know how they say more money, more problems.
Mm-hmm.
So are you really going to get out of survival mode when you have more money, because you're going to have more issues?
Mm-hmm.
That's an illusion in itself. Accumulating stuff comes with accumulating more problems. If you're already in survival mode and haven't got, when you get there, it's going to accumulate more stuff. You're still going to be in some. This is mental, whether you have a bike or whether you have 5 Lamborghinis and a big house. It's mental. It's not, that's an illusion. So the illusion is how you look at the problems. That's an illusion, because if you snap your fingers right now, and the things you say, taking care of my bills, taking care of my this, taking care of, we're creatures that want more. You're going to want to accumulate more. Now you want 2 houses. Now you want 3 houses. And it's all going to accumulate more and more. If you have the same mindset about what you're dealing with, then that's going to go with it as well. So the problems that most people are dealing with, the stresses, are the same thing they clowning this homeless man about. So who really clowning themselves?
Mm-hmm.
You clowning yourself, because he don't have them problems. He might have some other issues. I'm not saying that he has all this stuff together, but what I'm saying, remember, I'm speaking from an internal.
Mm-hmm.
Internally, he's healing because he's sleeping in nature. He's sleeping outside.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have all the stresses you have that have you about to have a stroke and lose everything regardless, because you just had a stroke. So who really has more of a, speaking from a burden on the body, not a burden on how society wants things to see, but who's really having a more toll taken on their body? It's the person with the stuff. And you're probably going to die earlier, because it has a harder toll on them, depending on how you look at what you're doing. Now, let's be clear. If you look at it in a certain way, if you look at it with a lot of gratitude, like I'm happy to have what I have, I'm gratitude, thank you, and still working towards to get more, then that's a different toll on the body.
Yes.
But if you steady thinking, I need more, when you get more, you're gonna want more, and I'm gonna want more. That's what we want more out of this life. We want to be a little bit more financially stable, a little bit more spiritually better, a little bit more healthy. That's human nature. So you have to be careful of, because the most beautifulest thing about this mind can also be the curse. The beautifulest thing is you can imagine, but your imagination can also be hijacked within yourself, and it can also turn into your enemy, because you can sort of vision is unrealistic with what's going on. Because once again, like we spoke on the last series, you weren't told, you skipped over a major process of what this body is, what this mind is.
Right.
So your thoughts turn into your reality, because you have it's like a machine you have no control over, and you just, you say I need to do this, I'm educational, and then you're like, I'm getting sick, oh my God, I got headaches, I got this, but I gotta keep going. Society tells me to keep going. Yeah, keep going till you end up right in the hospital. Yep, keep on going. You know what I mean? Because we skipped over a vital process in the beginning. That's extremely important. That's so important. So what that homeless man does is he stripped himself of those mental. Now all of them have their own little thing of why, but I'm saying the majority of them, when you ask them, because I went up to them and talked to plenty of them, and I've asked them, they say I don't want. The same thing we complain about. Why the water? Why does the city? It's a man own the water companies, and I gotta pay for water. Water should be free. But the difference is, you paying for it still and getting with the program of society. They have took the step in heart to see, you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna live by what I say. Instead of complaining about it and make myself sick, I'm gonna actually do it. So really, they had more heart, because you just want to continue. You want to complain, make yourself sick, and then still continue to do it. Which that's even worse. And when I heal people, that's one of the things I tell people: if you're upset, you be upset. If you aren't upset, you don't be upset. But what I've learned is what makes people sick is the in-between. They try to hold in their if they're upset, they try to put on this smile, and it eats them up. It literally ravishes their body physically. No, if you're upset, you be upset, and you work on how not to let that thing upset you again. All right? But do not suppress it. Do not put on a fake front, because it will burn you up. Even so deep. I'm gonna tell you even deeper. I've helped women that, because we're sexual beings, all right, but they have in their head this fake concept of you're Christian, whatever they were raised up on is beating in their head. So now they have the internal self fighting against natural self. You know what I mean? So they're doing it, but then when they're doing it, in the back of their minds, they're feeling like disgusted, but they're still doing it because they're fighting against biology and what they were told. They get venereal diseases. A woman who just says, no, I'm just going to do it and I like doing it. They could be doing the same thing with the same person, but they don't get the same illness. It's the craziest thing, because the mind is fighting against. It's hiding something. It's because they think it's wrong, but they're doing it. The fight within is actually what gets us sicker than if you make a bad decision. Just go all in with a bad decision. Don't do the bad decision and then feel regret at the same time.
It's like dying all over again.
You're gonna ravish yourself. Deaths. So it's like just go all in. And I've seen that happen. Because one time I actually now this is not the best advice, and this was for her specifically. I'm not gonna say who, but it's somebody real close to me. And they had genital herpes, and I knew them, so I knew they had a Christian background. I knew what they were replaying in their head over and over again, but they still wanted to be human. You know what I'm saying? Like they human, whatever. So they still had sex or whatever, and they was on these dating websites. And I told them, I tell you what, since you're gonna do it anyways, I need you to do me a favor. Don't get emotionally attached to the men that you have sex with. Use what you do, because she was a heavy set girl, so she had a lot of insecurities. So therefore, she'll have sex with him, and the insecurities and the lack and the want, when that's what makes the man use her. You know what I mean? Like, she's chasing behind me. I got that, da. So I told her, this is one time when I told her to get in her divine masculine, because she had too much feminine and wasn't being respected. So I say, no, you tell them to come over. Since you're going to do it anyway, tell them to come over. You're going to do it. And you tell them, all right, I'm good. All right, holla. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
No, it sounds weird. It sounds strange. But guess what? Her genital warts left after 2 weeks. I didn't give her no compounds. No, it was mental. It was the mental shame of thinking, oh, I'm a Christian and I'm doing it, and my mom told me I'm da-da-da, my dad told but I'm still doing it. It's the fight within that was causing it. Once she released and she saw, she was like, they're now chasing me. Like, yeah, because it's an emotional thing. They don't have emotional control over you. So men become fascinated with that. So it's not about you. She thought it was about a weight. She thought it was about all. So it's all her insecurities tied up. When she started seeing the opposite happen just by how she responded to the same thing she was doing, the physical left, and she was able to see like, whoa, it's not about I'm big. It's not about I'm this. No, it's about energy. They can feel your lack. They can feel your neediness. They can feel all that. That's all wrapped up also in this expressing itself as genital herpes. You know what I mean?
That's deep.
And she got rid of it. So I know that it's a lot to deal with the mind, what we were taught, what we were dealing with the physical as well. You know, it's not this physical thing like they tell you and they put all up there. No, that's not true.
Ooh, well, what's coming up for me, and I won't say a name either, but I had a friend who was a beautiful light. She was just a virtuous woman of God. She had a big heart. She was an excellent mom, and this is just coming to me, so I'm going to be transparent. But she reunited with someone that she had went to college with, and I think we were like late 40s, early 50s. Maybe she was in her late 40s. And because she had been, abstinent, celibate, single mom, hadn't been involved with anyone, she trusted the man, and she got pregnant. And the guy didn't want to be with her, didn't want to support, and she already had a child, and she actually aborted. But when it came time to go through with the abortion, whether it was right or wrong, it was important to support her. And then she was like, oh, I didn't have an abortion. I wasn't pregnant. And I was like, wow, I had been a part of the process, even was like begging her not to go through with it. Whether, again, I agree with it was right or wrong. I just knew at that age in her life for her to have a child in her 40s, my thing was, and she probably didn't believe me, but I meant it. Like, I will help you raise this baby. Don't terminate, because I was concerned at what the regret would be. And I also feel like our bodies don't always heal as accelerated as if you were in your 20s doing stuff. And so she ended up having some kind of diagnosis. I don't know what it was, but she had all kind of health problems around her reproductive system, and she passed away.
Yeah.
I truly believe that it was the guilt of what she did, because she couldn't even acknowledge it to me, even though, like, I know the day that she went and everything. I believe that the guilt ate her up and created, I don't know if it was some kind of reproductive cancer, but I believe that the guilt, ate her up. And so I've been thinking about my friend and grieving a little bit. Like, grieving comes in stages for me. But for you to say that, I think of the things that I've done, the choices that I've made that I hold on to with regret, with my parenting, with my, career, just different things. So that's a call to action for me, and I implore the audience, the listening audience, to think like that. What are the things that we are holding on to that create sickness in our body, whether it's cancer or any other kind of disease? How can we release the attachment to what we've been programmed to believe? Because there are different layers to, life. It's like if a person steals, like during the times when we were enslaved, they would say, oh, we're thieves, but we weren't really getting fed. So if a person steals to feed themselves, is that wrong? When you have these multi-billion corporations and companies that throw food away every single day. You know, is it wrong for us to have hungry people on the planet? It shouldn't be no any hungry people on the planet. Is it wrong for it to be homeless people on the planet when we have all this land, empty buildings, office complexes? So right and wrong is relative. To me, I feel like if a person is hungry and they steal the food, are they, you know, as wrong as a person who is throwing away food when they could be feeding people and staving off, you know, crimes being committed like that? So that's really powerful. What you're talking about is our emotions and our thoughts making us sick
Yeah.
versus healing us.
Yeah. So just to speak on
It's true.
I'm not sure exactly what your friend dealt with, but yes, I can see a connection for that if she was to come to me off the rip, if she was still alive. Having to acknowledge, there's a reason why you go to alcoholic class and they want you to say, I am an alcoholic. They want you to acknowledge because it opens up your chakras. Now, they might not be saying it from a chakras thing, but I'm telling you what happens. You open up your chakras so that you can receive in the truth and be able to heal. All right, you have to acknowledge, hey, I'm wrong. Hey, I made a decision. Hey, I let these people tell me that, whatever. So, the regret, yes, and also the mixture of her age, what she also did with her womb before, if she was already taking birth control and all this other stuff where they place around, and most of all, a lot of women don't realize that when your body gets pregnant, your body starts to create functions and things and stuff in the body, all right, to prepare to have a baby, all right. When you do it the unnatural way, now there are natural herbs that you can take that will excrete the uterus, all right. It excretes the uterus, but it also tones and heals the uterus and the ovaries. When you use plant to do it, you see what I'm saying? So, it also rinses out the body. It rinses out the fluids it created to get ready for breast milk. It did all these other things. When you do it the unnatural way and somebody just sucks a vacuum up to you, all that stuff is still in you. And energy doesn't die, it only transforms.
True.
So if it was preparing for life, then now it's going to transform to death most of the time. Because the body's stuck with it and it has no use for it. Because something just sporadically happened unnaturally. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now it's stuck in the body. You know what I mean? So yes, now it will mutate into something else if you're not careful. When I help heal women of breast cancer, the tumors are easy to leave. All right.
Okay.
The problem is this. So first, just to give you an understanding of what I've learned through experience by doing it, not by reading stuff, by doing it.
Okay.
The breast on a woman represents the two ancient emotions of the breast. The negative emotions are neediness and resentment. Okay, those two things, neediness and resentment. The positive emotions are fulfillment and nourishment, because you nourish in the world and you fulfill. I have everything I need. I don't even need that dude to feel that. I'm fulfilled. I'm just happy with being a parent. If he leave. I'm happy because I can do a function can't nobody else do. I'm fulfilled. I am bringing in the energy in this world. That's missing with education now. That's replaced with education. That's replaced with all these other things. So now, yes, you have all these unrealistic, unnatural, unancestral expectations. Unexpectations of what reality is and what your body's gonna respond to ancestrally. With modern, and it's messing you up. It gets so deep into the point where it's so accurate, where I haven't even seen it inaccurate, where a woman in her left breast, when she gets a tumor, is for a non-blood related woman. And if she get it in her right breast, then she has resentment or neediness for a blood related woman. And it's so accurate, and to the point where, because the stories I'm asking them, I'm like, whoa, non-blood related, blood related, whoa. And then they have them in both. So by non-blood related, it could be a woman at a job or a stepmother or something like that. That they just resentment or they resentful of for whatever happened in life, or neediness about.
Right.
And it's always a woman. It's never a man. When women have issues with men, like daddy issues, they have it in their
That's huge,
reproductive
yeah.
area, ovary, cyst, this, that. It's never in the breast. It's the connection to the breast is always with a woman. A lot of times, the mother, they feel like the mother should have been there, da 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 da, or or they resentful. Their mother didn't treat them. He ran with men. Da 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 da. She was going with men. She left me alone. This happened to me. Da da, and burns them up.
That's
So
interesting.
when it's with men, it's in the sacral area, the reproductive area. That's when it gets eaten. That's when it eats that up down there. But yeah, so those are, and so they have to go in. They have to do the opposite. They have to. I'm fulfilled. I'm loved. It's certain breast massage. There's certain things you do. You put your mind into it, and those tumors a lot of times will drop like a bump, literally. And you have to pee. You literally have to pee it out. It feels like something literally going out of your body. You have to pee and bowel it out, like literally, like the lump. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of times it's mental. So and it comes with colors, and certain colors you have to use because it's an overgrowth of certain microbes and energies in that area. So you have to undo the emotion and the colors of the microbes. I mean the colors to detox it, and then put in good to reproduce good microbes in that area with colors and frequencies. And and it's all thought, because the energy is everywhere in the air. It's not using no machines. It's not using no. You gotta go and you gotta have them take your hair out and kill all of. That's very invasive and unnatural. Naturally, you have to get down to the base of what's the fire that caused this physical to turn from the mental. Because it's damn sure wasn't the mental. I mean, damn sure wasn't the physical turn to the mental. It was the mental turn to the physical. So you have to stop the fire at the beginning, and then it's other things that. So it's mental, environment. Like a lot of times I tell the young women, don't wear bras too young. Unless your bras are meant to hang. When you get old enough and you can't, you need some support, then put on the bras. But absolutely never wear them at nighttime. Right. Because your lymphatic system also runs through here. So they need to hang so that they can actually flood out through. If it's up, then it's stagnant and the energy gets stagnant in there. And when you do have a baby, it's absolutely so important that you use that milk from your body. You know what I mean? It's built to give it to a baby. That's why you had it. So once again, it will mutate and turn into lumps and everything else. So those three factors are the main reasons behind the breast cancer I've seen. The fire, the emotion. You know what I mean? The emotion of it. The resentment or the neediness. You know what I mean? Whichever one you have overabundance of usually for a woman. And sometimes it's like environmental things, trying to be grown too fast, wearing the breast, and then sleeping in some of these bras, and then sleeping in the bras. And then, of course, having babies without using the stuff in them. You know what I mean? And the stuff is mutating in them. So if you have to do techniques to get it out of you. You know what I mean? Get it out of you, or it's just gonna spoil. It's spoiled. You know what I'm saying? And it's mutating. Energy don't die, it only transforms. So everybody trying to be so modern, and I gotta do this. I like my bread. Okay, well God made you like this, so no matter what you like, this is how God made the body, and that's just what it is. So that comes with the process. It's like me saying, well, I want to gain muscle, but I don't want the pain. Society told me I should be able to get the results of the function without this. I'm bought into this foolishness. So that's what we're dealing with.
Wow. So I know that you have supported women with breast cancer. Anyone who's listening who knows someone or is in that position, Source can be reached on Instagram and Facebook. Maine Source Energy, and Maine is with an E, M-A-I-N-E, Maine Source Energy. He has healed himself from leukemia, reversed the diagnosis. 9 years ago, they told him that he had 6 months to live, and here he is. And not only did he do it for himself, but it reminds me of like the story of Harriet Tubman when she was free. She went back like 31 times, they said, and went for her people. So you keep coming for us. And so I'm grateful for that. You're making me think about what is true freedom. Like a homeless person could really be more free than a person that has a fancy job, the big house and a car. And women who we feel like we have to wear bras. I learned that the wire bras actually are linked to cancer too. you know, that we shouldn't be wearing wire bras, and bras were actually made by men. It wasn't even made by a woman. So, you know, when you're talking about how emotions show up, if it's in the breast, you said that it's resentment and neediness on the right side for a woman, and then on the left side is nourishment and being fulfilled.
Well, now the emotions can be in either one. You know what I mean? Neediness, so the positive emotions, I mean the negative emotions of the breast, no matter which one, that doesn't have a specific side. Neediness or resentment, you know, for a woman. But the positive emotions are fulfillment and nourishment. I'm fulfilled. I have everything I need. I'm nourishing the world. I can create a child. You know what I mean? I can bring in the energy. So it's not specific emotions to the size of the breast. The specific emotion comes from whether they're blood related or non-blood related.
That's the left and the right. Left is non-related, and right is blood related. So that's super duper powerful. Like these theories, you know, that you have actually tried and proven true, and for people to be able to tap into not just being so programmed and narrow with our thinking that we just think that it's only one way. And if the medical profession says you have something, recognizing, as he said, that it starts with the mental and emotional, and then it shows up in the physical. So, you know, how do we go about changing that? As you said, changing your mindset, not being attached to it, and deprogramming and reprogramming yourself with a spirit of gratitude, and also not, as women, being so emotionally connected to everything that it makes us sick. Learning how to, again, talking about the balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine. So like as a single parent, knowing that my sons need men to pour into them just as much as I know that I want to pour into them and I have responsibility to. I have to seek other people out in my community because our youth need to hear more voices in their ears. Normally they don't even listen to the parents when they get to a certain age, which is another reason why it's important for them to have other voices that can be trusted, that are going to steer them in the right direction. So I'm checking the time. It looks like we're past the half mark of the show, but I do want to talk about the herbs, okay? And this right here, if when you check out Source on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see his logo, which is the picture of his mother. What's your mom's name?
It's Baba Source. Her name was Audrey Blah.
Audrey Blah.
We call her Mama Source, though.
Mama Source. And so, with that being said, I have taken his minerals before, and I do know I'm a certified holistic health coach, and one of the organizations that I work with, Longevity, Dr. Joel Wallach, he has a premise that it's the mineral deficiencies that causes the disease in the body. And everybody's like, oh, make sure you take your vitamins. And vitamin D is like a big thing in the black community. But like I checked the weather and I knew that we were going to get a lot of rain because of the hurricane. And I said to my sons, we need to go to the lake, even though everyone want to say, oh, it's dirty and all that, and get as much sun as we can while we can. And then my son, he wasn't feeling well. And my thing is, yes, I'm giving him herbs, but having him outside in the sun, getting fresh air and movement is just as medicinal. You can't use one or the other, you have to use them all. So for the mineral supplements, we have Level Up Mineral Matrix. We have
Jadabi in Nature.
Jadabi in Nature.
Yeah, and that's main ingredient
and then
brown.
This is
main ingredient brown.
Main ingredient brown.
Yeah.
Okay. And so these are different minerals, but he also calls them plant vibrations. And it is true that the things that we eat hold certain vibrations. So when you eat fruits and vegetables and good water, it has a higher vibration than if you're eating things that we had to actually kill. And even how you kill an animal makes a difference in how that animal was raised and what that vibration is. And so I do notice, as I said on part 2, when I do live foods and raw foods, when I'm doing more salads and fruits, I can feel the difference in my body. And when I also take the herbs, I also feel a difference in my body. And there is like an electrical current, a current that runs through, like you can really feel, like I can feel my cells vibrating when I eat certain things, like my body is saying, thank you. And then when I go without eating certain things that I know are nourishing, then I feel that my body is telling me like, oh, we're not doing so well because you're not keeping your regimen.
Yeah.
And so, can you tell us about the herbs? Because I know you also are, I call you a botanist, a plant scientist, because you forage herbs, you go and you find them, and then you create things from them. So tell us a little bit about your journey and your products and why we should be investing in these services.
Okay, so just to piggyback off what you said, I've learned that there's never a such thing as there is a mineral deficiency, but technically it's a microbial deficiency.
Okay.
All right. Technically, it's a microbial deficiency, and because the microbia in the body are the ones that create the minerals.
Okay.
All right. So, I noticed that later on in my journey, because I used to get the roots, I used to eat them, and I feel the electricity go through right away. And I ate store herbs, and I was wondering why I don't feel the same vibration. You know, all this Eswanda, all these other things, sea moss. But then when I go in the ocean, I actually get the sea moss. I eat that fresh off the rock, and all of a sudden I'm like a pogo stick. I'm vibrating, and I feel it going through my body. And it's way smaller than the ones that I get online. You know, the ones in the ocean is way smaller than the big fake ones that they make in the sea moss farms that you get in the stores. So,
That's a good point.
I learned that actually it's not about the sea moss. It's not about the actual root, the physical root I was getting. It was about the trillions of microbes repopulating my body as I eat it raw.
Okay.
That's what was going on. Because you can take a herb and then usually they take it through a process. They blend it all down, they wash it off, they do. So now all you get is the benefits of what those microbes created. Because that tree, that root, can't get the minerals from the dirt without those trees and microbes in the ground.
Okay.
All right? Just like you can't nutrient absorb without those microbes breaking that food down in the small intestines and the large intestines and giving you the nutrients. You know, it's the same as that ancient bacteria.
Okay.
But we want to make it seem like it's separate. They want to tell us we're the same. They're the same ones that have a symbiotic relationship as those tree roots. Same one. So what happens is through the process of gathering the herbs, especially if it's, and we talking about hybrid herbs in the first place. We're not even talking about indigenous herbs that God made. They're recreating hybrid herbs. And what happens is they take them through the process, and you might get the benefits of what the herbs created that you call the minerals in this tree.
Okay.
But you don't get the population of the microbes. So I beg to differ that it's more about what's on the herbs than actually the root or the plant or the whatever. You know what I mean? So you can take it and wash it and do too much stuff, and you'll lose the benefit of getting the minerals and getting the microbes to repopulate. Because every time we have a bowel movement, trillions of them come out. Every time we have this, and then we're taking all these are mother microbes and ancestral microbes. So the ones like the genetically modified organisms and stuff, all that comes from the mother microbes. So what happens is when you put those in you, and you put the mother microbes in you, they overtake the population. And then you get the functions. All all the Alzheimer's leave, all these other stuff leave, because these are non-ancestral stuff they're putting in us. So it's taking over our body. We can't think right. Memory loss, eating all this BS. It's dealing with the brain. So and they do all the functions. They create all the B vitamins. They create it. Just about every mineral on the periodic table of microorganisms make it. So if you get it in a vitamin form, what happens is, because it's an isolate. Because in nature, it's no such thing as just iron. No, you're going to have iron. It might come with iron, calcium, sulfur, boron. It comes as a compilation of minerals together. Just like a rock. It comes together as a compilation. It's no such thing. Now, when man do his little thing and be extra smart, you know, they so smart, they take everything apart, and then they say, oh, well, I have this. And then it's for dirt cheap. Oh, yeah, I have your boron. And you read up the health benefits of boron. The one thing or hydrogen or something, one thing you never realize is, this is a natural body. It's not even going to process it unless it's processing it exactly how it's coming out of nature, which it comes together. It doesn't come as an isolate. So if you take an isolate like out the stores, what happens is you'll take an isolate, say iron. I take my iron. All right. What happens is the microbes in the stomach, first of all, are not going to register it at first, except for as a poison, because it's not together. They can't use it at first. So then some of them, like the hydrogen creating the iron creating microbes and say, oh, well, I do, but the other ones ain't gonna know what it is. You know, but the iron producing ones say, okay, I know that, but it's missing stuff. So it might be missing. Nature, remember, it's coming with calcium, boron, all this other stuff, whatever's in the plant. So what happens is those microbes say, before we process it and allow you to use it, we're gonna take it and we're gonna recreate it in its natural state first. And how they do that is they have to pull it out of your bones, because that's where all your mineral storages are. That's why people who take vitamins, they always come down with 5, 6 other mineral deficiencies. You know what I mean? Always. After a period of time, they always do. People who gym rats who take a bunch of supplements, they always have bone problems. You want to know why? Because the microbes are steadily pulling, because there's no such thing in nature as something being isolate. It comes together. You know what I mean? It doesn't come as just iron or just this or just that. So now what happens is, to fulfill one, your microbes now have caused you, because you're not replenishing it properly in the first place with all these fake plants in the first. It ain't like you putting back in stuff to replenish it in the bone. And you end up having a mineral deficiency from 5 other things, and each one of those probably hold 50 functions in the body.
Wow.
So now you got 250 functions in the whole. And you keep doing it, because you're telling yourself, because you're reading and you're not listening to your body, you're doing too much reading and not enough listening, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna keep taking it, but then your body steady deteriorating. You're like, well, I'm trying. Now you're going to self-sympathy. I'm trying, I'm doing it right, I'm taking my da. You're not taking it in its natural state. So it comes together. You know what I mean? So that's why vitamins and stuff like that are not good, because God never made isolates. God made things together. Creator made things in nature, they're together. Everything's together. So when I get it, I try my best to do everything naturally. I dive for my sea moss or go get it. So I got some places where I go get it, and I don't have to dive as well if I get it at certain times.
Wow.
And I sun dry it. Because I want to keep those good bacteria, bacteroids, firmicutes, all these different ancient bacteria that we need in our guts. I want to keep that on there, because it's not more about the plant that we saying, oh, it's sea moss, it has 92 essential minerals. They just putting that in your face. It's more important about the stuff that cause those 92 essential minerals, you to get that in your body, than just the after effect of the 92 essential minerals, which is the actual plant. You want the microbes all over as well. So you want to get the benefit of the actual plant and also the thing that caused the plant. So when you eat your other stuff, they'll break that down and continue to turn it into what you need to do. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you're saying in that way, that whole concept about an isolate is when you isolate a particular vitamin and it's not working in unity with something else. But when you are foraging herbs and plants, you're keeping those things that actually help the plant be the plant, which means that it's not being isolate or isolated.
No, it's a baby ecosystem and alive. Probiotic, prebiotic, it's everything. It's like a little, every spoonful that's why you can smell it and it just go straight to the brain. You know, it's like an ecosystem, and I'm holding the vibration inside. Right, you know what I mean? Right. That's why I don't leave my tops off. I play music to it, all that, to keep the vibration vibrating. You know what I mean? Just as if it's in nature. Okay. Because if you just bust open the herbs and just split your roots up, like they process it, they leave it open, the essence leaving. You know what I mean? You take it and then you put it in your water, and it's all mental. As soon as you take it, you're supposed to boom, feel vibration throughout the whole body. Supposed to, you know what I mean? Right. Or if you're sick, it's supposed to change the vibration to at least to where you unsick. And then the more you saturate yourself with the microbes and the minerals, then you feel it more and more and more and more and more. You know what I mean? Even if you're insensitive if you too much on the non-vibrational level, eventually you'll know by the results. And then the more you continue to take it, you're like, I just took it and I feel this feeling in my body. Am I tripping? Nah, keep taking it. And then you continue to populate. You know what I mean? And you can do other practices like breathing to enhance it as well. I tell people do these certain breathing exercises, because most of the time microbes and energy needs carbon. Just like that tree needs carbon. We say we need oxygen, but they need carbon. So if I just went and took that tree and I say, okay, I got you some pine needles. All right. Well, what does that pine needle need? Well, it needs carbon. What does it give me in exchange? Oxygen. Okay, so if I put that in my body, how do I make this experience? We both eat pine needles. Boom, we both eat the pine needles.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make my experience more prevalent than just eating it and then going on about my business?
Okay.
Well, I have to create carbon in the body. And how do you create indigenous carbon? By breathing and holding your breath. That creates indigenous. That's why all yogas and all that, they tell you do breathing and breath retention exercises to create carbon dioxide storage, indigenous carbon dioxide storage. So the more you create, the less you breathe. The less you breathe, the less your heart beats every day. And the more the more you have less heart beating, the longer you live.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a whole system. So when you take your herbs, feed them inside of you with breathing and breath holding and mindfulness, and then you might not have to take it so much because they're responding to the frequency. So now you don't have to just keep running through a bottle, okay, taking it and running on there somewhere. No, take the time to feed them energetically.
Yes. I do want to bring up something that I think, well, there's several things that are unique about how you create your products. One, like you said, the sunning, the use of music to raise the vibration. And then I've been involved in, different health ventures for many, many, many years. And it's always this thing like, oh, when you run out, you got to buy it again and again and again. And you have a product that's good for mental clarity that a lot of college students use. And one of the things that you told me is that you like for people to be on it for a couple of months and then come off of it. And I thought that was really key because it also speaks to this not being just about a commercial venture, a business venture. You're not just trying to get the profit. It's not about the enterprising of it. It's about truly empowering people so that they can really recognize that they are the actual instrument of healing. That's the whole purpose of allowing people to know, yes, get the minerals, but there are other tools that you can use. There's no reason for us to be sick and feel that is our reality or that cancer is a death sentence. Another thing that came up for me is like being reminded again, like when I made the comment about healthy men, and I'm like reminded of the things that I teach and the values that I try to give, where I don't love people or respect people according to their status in life. One of the things that I know that a lot of us, we may pray, but we don't meditate. And especially in the Christian church, meditation is not looked at as something that is welcomed or invited. But I remember years ago, I don't remember who I was listening to, but it was a yogi master. And they had stated how we have a certain amount of times that our heart beats.
Yes.
And Georgia has like these prehistoric bugs, and I'll be like, get it when it's in the house. And I'm like, my sons are like, Mom, calm down, you're making your heart beat. And then when you hear you're talking about the meditation, slowing down our heart, which creates longevity when we're living in a world that's really can be stressful. The American rat race, you're always like this, you're in traffic, rush hour, all the things to make our heart accelerate and shorten the lifespan that we have. Where meditation, breathing and relaxing and slowing down their heart can actually help to promote longevity. I thought that was very key. Another thing that came up for me was how we live in an ecosystem that we don't always acknowledge. There's not, to me, in my opinion, there's not enough respect for Mother Earth or Mommy Waters. We're not respecting the oceans. We're not respecting the earth. But when we were all, well, most of us, some of us were wearing masks, I was thinking to myself, how do trees, actually being able to be supported in the ecosystem, because they need our carbon as we need their oxygen. And we don't oftentimes, we're being isolates, like these vitamins, the conversation. Right. We're not thinking about ourselves as a part of a greater scheme of things. My thoughts and my feelings and my actions impact other people, not just me. And I also learned that our immune systems are built up or or diminish by being around people. When you're around people, your immune system can be stronger just by being in the presence of other people. That's why babies need to be held. That's why it's important for our elders not to be isolated. You live longer when you're in community because that actually helps your immune system. So those are the things that came up for me. But I know that we're getting to the end of the show, and I wanted to acknowledge those things and give you the floor again to speak.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you said. So being in society, yes, it can help boost your immune system, but let's be clear. Your time alone and your time ungrounding and hitting that earth to release all, remember, 9 times out of 10, because of how we live nowadays, being around everybody, you will get sicker. All right. The reason being is you have a point, but that's only a point when you go to the earth and ground. All right. Because what happens is if you have how energy works is energy creates a third. So us two, we talking right now, it's creating a third energy. That's a law of physics.
Okay.
That's a law of physics. Like and I don't like to get into physics and metal because I know it's all the same. But if we're gonna use their terminology, let's just use it. It's a law of physics, all right? Mm-hmm. But as we exchange, I have to, because it is an exchange, even if we're not physically exchanging, I have to go give it back to the earth, so I don't carry that, because I'm gonna carry your charge. I'm gonna carry your charge, and then if I go to the next person, when I dap them up, I'm carrying their charge, and the longer we're around each other, I'm carrying their charge. So I have to look at myself like the truth, like I have an aura around me. I have to have different ways, taking cold showers with the water. Not really worried about the scrubbing, not that part. You know what I mean? Just letting the water hit my crown and go down my body and cleaning the invisible blue aura around me. All right? If I want to go to the, and then I go to the earth to also get rid of any extra charge, any extra microbes I don't want that I've exchanged with people through being in close contact, whether family or not, it don't matter, and I have to get rid of. If not, I'm going to accumulate, and then I can only come down to that vibration. It's going to make me sick. So, so that's only in accordance. And since we are in societies, yes, it's best to bump into, get adapted to, but you have to realize at the end of the day, you have to release those extra. You cannot do it over and over and over and over again. Like when you're in school, then we go home, then we around other people. Right? That's why it spreads through like that, because nobody taking off their shoes and sitting on the earth and letting it all go back down to the earth, and then coming back with a fresh charge so they can do it again and again without.
Right.
So that's extremely important in that aspect of things. That's the only way that's relevant. You know what I mean? It's through meditation, grounding, and cleaning your aura. If you come in a group of people, wash your aura. Go home, take 2 showers. Focus more on the water going over your body than the scrubbing. The scrubbing, because we're using the fake soaps, is actually washing off a lot of the good microbes you need. Those are the ones that keep your immune system together, because you have a skin biome. You got a skin biome, you got a hair, you got a scalp biome, you got you have it's not just the internal biome, it's all over, they're everywhere. That's what creates the aura, is the microorganisms. You know what I mean? So when we go home, we clean these chemical soaps and we scrub like we talked to, you're washing off the microbiome. That's the first line of defense. You taking a hot shower. So you wide open, and without your protection, which is your microbes. You wide open. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, stuff can come into you. Cold showers only opens up one layer of the skin. Okay. Hot showers open up all 2, 3 of them. And you're washing off your protection, which are the microbes. That's what's protecting you. Let's be clear. This skin is not this skin. It's trillions of microbes all over us. And when you wash off, you kill the good and the bad ones. That's why everybody who's so clean, they have sniffles. They always sick. Because you're washing off too much. You spraying stuff. You're right. You're killing it. You're killing everything. You're killing the stuff you need as well. So, and then you put on this chemical lotion just because it fake smells, and now you go through this whole cycle, and you're like, oh, I don't feel good today, but I smell good. No crap. You know what I mean?
That was funny. You feel good? No, but you smell good.
Yeah.
Can we have both?
Yeah, you can go get some of them plants, man, with them pretty smelling flowers, man. Let's make some extracts with them flowers, and then you put them over you, so you can smell like the flower, but you also get the microbes.
I would love to have a conversation about grounding because that did come up for me, and we actually are running out of time. This 60 minutes goes by so fast. But grounding is important, and for anyone who's listening and you're not familiar with it, please be open. It's just, you know, we were young, we used to run outside barefoot and put on some shoes, put on your shoes, and then the elders used to say, let them run around a little bit. And so, you know, grounding is having that relationship where you have contact with the earth. And I know laying down and resting on the earth, like you were talking about, homeless people and how they get the opportunity to ground more. The best rest I've ever had was taking a nap in a tree. Shout out to my college roommate Keisha, Mama Keisha, who gifted my sons and I with the opportunity to do that with Trees Atlanta, and then being in a tent and laying down.
Camping.
And it was actually, I put a tent up in my backyard. My husband at the time and my sons, we would go out there and I would read to them when they were real little, like toddlers, and we would take naps out in the tent. And today, having this conversation with you, I haven't really been getting the best rest, so I'm like, dang, I need to get me another tent again and get out there.
Or ground your bed. It's easy to ground your bed. Just tap straight into the earth. Use a grounding rod. Tap right in and run the copper through your window, a little piece of copper, to your bed. And ground your bed. Bring the outside energy in.
So can we have another conversation about that to share with the listening audience?
How to ground your bed. That's an essential. If you go to bed hungry and you go to bed grounded, that will take care of 75% of your health issues.
And so
I'm just telling you, if you go to bed hungry, you know what I mean? Don't eat, you know, say after 6 or 7. I usually say before the sun go down. You know what I mean? Before the sun go down. If the sun is down, do not put that in your mouth, because your body also, your metabolism is burning high because we're connected to nature when the sun is up. So I usually only eat between 12 and 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'll ask you about intermittent fasting.
I usually eat between 12 and 6. And of course full moon coming up, so I fast 3 days for the full moon. But 12 and 6, if you go to bed hungry and your bed is grounded, 75% of your issues will leave. I can just about put that's not even doing nothing else.
Okay.
Just going to bed hungry and letting your body use its own fuel. Okay. You know what I mean? Let it growl. It's supposed to be. I don't mean you need to feel it every time you hear it growl. You know what I mean? No. Go to bed hungry and sleep grounded.
Yes.
That will take care of half your issues.
Yeah, so I would like to talk about fasting, intermittent fasting, different types of fasting, different times of fasting, and grounding. And then I would like to know what you want to talk about as well. For we moving on to part 4.
Let's do it.
Okay, so stay tuned for more. While Brother Source is here visiting from Mexico, I definitely feel truly honored and with your spirit of generosity and how you're willing, you know, to be on the front line, working with people and being a living example of not only healing himself from leukemia, but also supporting other people and reversing a diagnosis as well. So my name is Al-Kibalan Ma'at. You are listening to the Al-Kibalan Radio Show. I am on Caribbean Life TV and Caribbean Life Radio. And you can find me, my Facebook and Instagram page is Al-Kibalan Ma'at. That's ALKEBULAN. And the second word is MAAT. And this is Main Source Energy Services. My brother Source is the founder and owner. And that's MAINE. Source Energy. Main Source Energy Services is found on Instagram and Facebook.
TikTok, I think.
And TikTok as well.
And soon to be YouTube.
And soon to be YouTube. Yeah, I'm working on my YouTube too. So check this video out on YouTube as well, Akibalan Ma'at. I do want to acknowledge that he is not the average botanist or forager. You heard the way that he harvests his plant medicine. So I do want to encourage you all to inbox him on Instagram and Facebook. He offers products and services and retreats, consultations as well. And remember that you are the best masterpiece that has ever been created.